Hey everybody, this is the Longhorn Confidential for Tuesday, October 3rd. I'm Danny Davis, the Austin American-Statesman, as always, joined by Kirk Bowles, Cedric Golden, Thomas Jones. Thanks for listening to us wherever you get your podcast or watching us on YouTube or statesman.com. We appreciate it, and let's get to it. We're going to talk a lot today about the Red River Rivalry, Red River Shootout, Red River Showdown, whatever you want to call it at home. But before we get to that and all the fun at the State Fair, let's take a minute to talk about what happened a couple days ago. Texas 40, Kansas 14 over at DKR. Texas improved to 5-0, 2-0 in Big 12 play. Really only one question to talk about this game. One person on this panel has an AP vote, and that's Mr. Kirk Bowles, who's below me on my screen. And he put Texas number one after this win, took his first place vote away from Washington, gave it to the Longhorns. Kirk, we're going to ask you to defend your vote, first of all, but my question to the rest of the group first before we get to Kirk: is Kirk Bowles right? Is a noted Texas homer Kirk Bowles correct with his first place vote for the Longhorns? Said, we'll start with you.
Nothing worse in our business than a homer. But Kirk Bowles is not a homer. Kirk Bowles is right. The Texas Longhorns, I don't know if they're the best team in the country, but they have the best resume of the top four teams. They've answered every challenge. They went into Alabama and won by 10 points. And isn't that Alabama win looking better and better as the weeks go by, as they just took care of that Mississippi double? So I think Michigan hasn't played anybody yet. We know Ohio State has struggled. I think the Texas Longhorns deserve to be the number one team in the country. And I asked Steve Sarkisian if he's coaching the best team. He says, I don't have a vote, but he had a little Cheshire grin on his face, didn't he, Duck? Sark believes he's coaching the number one team. He just didn't say it. And I caught that, and anybody that studies body language caught that. I am all in with the Duck on this. I hardly ever agree with him on stuff. Now, we are twins when it comes to takes, but usually, like, I agree with him at the beginning of the year on 11-1, but the Duck is on to something. I do think the Texas Longhorns should be ranked number one.
PJ?
It's hard to argue. I mean, I think Kirk's right. Look, this isn't 2022. Georgia gets votes because they won the title last year, basically, because they haven't been impressive.
Who's
by any metric. Yeah, by any metric, and there's various people online that measure strength of schedules and quality wins. Texas is the best in the nation right now. I think Florida State, who beat, a two-loss LSU team, and they went on the road to beat Clemson, has a tiny, tiny argument, but that's it. Michigan hasn't beaten anyone. Georgia hasn't beaten anyone. Washington, not yet. So yeah, I agree with the Duck. I don't care if he's wearing those Bevo socks or whatever he's got in his drawer, He's right.
Underwear.
I'm not going there. But it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue.
Well, I will argue against. I'll take the contrarian view on this poll.
Danny Davis, the contrarian.
Shocking. It's not my I guess caution against what putting Texas number one isn't so much against Texas. I have an AP vote for women's basketball, and generally when I fill out my ballot, I'm not as fluid as Kirk is. I know Kirk likes to be fluid with his vote, and I don't really believe in docking teams because they won, unless there's a absolute reason for the teams behind them. And yes, Texas does have the best win probably of the teams in the top five, arguing for that top vote. But I also think Texas, show me a quarterback Texas has played so far this season. The best quarterbacks Texas has faced this season because of injuries and Jalen Milroe just being inexperienced. Best quarterbacks Texas faces are in practice, is their number two and their number three quarterbacks. I just haven't been impressed with some of the teams Texas has played. I think, if we're being realistic, I see our mentions at halftime of these games. Texas fans are freaking out and wanting to, fire everyone on staff because of some of their struggles. Texas has yet to, play a complete game. They haven't, they've gotten some luck in the quarterback department. That isn't to say that Texas shouldn't be number 3 or wherever they're ranked. I just don't think Texas has played so well that, you know, a Georgia, because they struggled on the road at Auburn, deserves to necessarily be docked, or that Michigan, because of their strength of schedule, necessarily deserves to be docked. It doesn't mean Texas can't get there. It doesn't mean that Texas hasn't had some impressive wins, but I just don't necessarily believe that Georgia or Michigan should get docked because they're winning, as opposed to Texas, you know, coming up from behind, because Texas had a little, I think we have to be honest, that Texas had a little luck with some of the teams they played, regardless of what the ranking says. I mean, sorry, Kansas that was not the 24th best team in the country that Texas played this past week. I'm sorry, Georgia played a better team than Texas did, regardless of the rankings. And I just don't think Texas deserves necessarily to leapfrog Georgia, even though Texas is, you know, deserves that number 3 ranking and definitely deserves to be in the conversation with the college football playoffs. But I take a different approach to my AP poll than Kirk does, and Kirk, we'll let you defend your honor here.
Well, I do think it's a beauty pageant at this point, and we can argue all the different variables, but I think we would agree Georgia hasn't looked like Georgia. Basically, as you accurately stated, I do have a fluid poll. I voted Michigan number 1 at the start of the year. I had Washington number 1 a couple weeks ago. I have Texas number 1, basically for 4 reasons. One, resume, as my good friend Cedric mentioned. 2 is the eye test. I think they passed the eye test, and a lot of these teams have struggled, and we try to look at it through a 4-quarter prism. Georgia was tied with Auburn 10-10 at the half, their first road game, of the year. Third is schedule. I give teams credit when they schedule up, and Texas plays Alabama. I give them a lot of credit for that. I remember when Oregon got crushed by Georgia. I don't remember where I put them, but I don't think I dropped them out of the poll because they took the gamble and went into Georgia and lost. And 4 is balance. They're good on offense. They're good on defense. They're good on special teams, and some shakiness by Bert Auburn there a little bit. But they got X-Men, returning punts, and they've got good kick coverage so far. So I don't really see an obvious weakness, but you can make a case for a lot of different teams right now. And I try to have fun with it, especially in September when there's a lot of sorting out. But those are basically the 4 big reasons, I put Texas number 1.
Texas will have another chance to play a ranked team this weekend. Someone called Oklahoma. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the Sooners, but Oklahoma, Texas. That'll be Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Cotton Bowl. ABC will have that game. College Game Day will be on campus. There'll be lots of hoopla, lots of excitement. Both teams are undefeated. Both teams are 2-0 in Big 12 play, ironically. We'll talk about that in a second. But 2 good quarterbacks. I just mentioned the quarterback play for that Texas has seen has not necessarily been that impressive. But Dillon Gabriel is coming up this weekend, the great former UCF quarterback who transferred to Texas, missed last year's game with an injury, which may be why that was 49-0. I don't know if he's a 49-point player, but Texas has a good quarterback of its own with Quinn Ewers, who kind of had his signature game last year at the Cotton Bowl when he came back from injury and led Texas to that win. So we'll start with TJ. Dillon Gabriel for Quinn Ewers. Maybe not who you got, but who do you think has the bigger stat line on Saturday?
If I'm picking one of these guys to start on my fantasy team, I'm taking Dillon Gabriel. 1, they're going to be behind, in my opinion. And I think they'll be throwing a lot to keep up with Texas. 2, that OU offense doesn't have a choice. They don't run the ball particularly well. They have to give the ball to Gabriel, and he has to throw it. And look, he leads the conference in passing yards, completion percentage, passing touchdowns. He is their offense. If he doesn't put up big numbers, they have no chance. If yours doesn't put up big numbers, Texas can beat you in other ways.
So who are you starting on the Las Vegas Derelicts? Who's your fantasy quarterback on Saturday?
We're bringing up bad stuff, Danny. No one wants to hear about the Las Vegas Derelicts.
You just won. You're on fire. You're good.
They're horrible. So let's keep it with good football teams, not bad ones. I agree with TJ. I think Dillon Gabriel is going to have to chunk it around 50 times for OU to have a chance to win. And he's an accurate quarterback, so he's going to complete 25 or 30 of those. And so he's going to have the numbers. Texas is going to pound. Sark said it. They're a physical running team. Jonathon Brooks going to get 20 carries. They're going to pound it. They're going to make OU tackle. And the recipe for wins for Texas isn't Quinn Ewers throwing 35 times. It's them establishing the run or taking advantage of good field position provided by one of the best defenses in the country and living on that. And that Texas is a take the air out of the ball type team. They have talent at wideout, but this is what it is. It's a running football team. Quinn Ewers going to throw for a couple hundred yards, but I could see Dillon Gabriel throwing for upwards 280 to 300, and it still probably won't matter because, like Thomas said, they're not particularly adept at running the football, and the Longhorn defense, I believe, is as good as advertised.
Kirk?
Hey, preaching to the choir. I had written down Dillon Gabriel may have to throw 50 times, just like said, just opined. He's 75% passer, 15 touchdowns, 2 picks. So, he is the head of the snake, as Texas said yesterday. And get this stat, guys. Oklahoma in the Big 12 is 9th in rushing. 9th. I mean, their leading rusher, Marcus Major Sr., hasn't averaged 40 yards a game. He's the 22nd best rusher in the Big 12. This is like, where the hell is Adrian Peterson when you need him? So they might just
Dancing with the stars, Kirk.
I'll take Quentin Griffin at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Billy Sims, Joe White. I mean, what's going on? So I think Oklahoma's going to have to come out throwing and hoping they can loosen up this Texas defense to get some running lanes for their running back. So I think Dillon Gabriel is your guy. I agree. He might have 250, 300 yards because I don't expect them to have a whole lot of success running the ball against that Texas front. What do you got, Danny?
I mean, give me the quarterback who threw for 4 touchdowns against this Oklahoma defense last year, and apparently can now run with the best of them. I'll take Quinn, and we'll keep it moving. We spoke about the Texas pass catchers. There is a bit of concern. Jatavian Sanders left the Kansas game with an injury, as did Ryan Watts, the starting cornerback. Steve Sarkisian said both players are day-to-day on Monday. Who knows exactly what that means, but as Texas progresses towards a week, which injury are you more concerned about? Which player do you think Texas can't really do without in this Oklahoma game? Kirk, since you went last question, we'll start with you first here.
I worry a little bit about Ryan Watt because he's their shutdown corner over there. He's tied for 4th in tackles on the team. Has only 1 PBU because I don't think they throw to his side that much. And Terrence Brooks and Gavin Holmes and Malik Muhammad, they got some good cornerbacks, but not the experience that he has. With Jatavian, Gunnar Helm has kind of proved himself. He's only got 3 catches, but I think Sark has a lot of confidence in him and raved about him. And let's be honest, guys, they've got so many weapons, for Quinn to throw to. So I would worry a little bit about Ryan Watts if he's not 100% and good to go.
TJ?
I think Jatavian Sanders is such a unique player. He's almost a unicorn in the college game. He's such a good receiver at the tight end position that it's hard to replace what he does downfield. Gunnar Helm's a nice tight end, and he's a very good blocker, and he'll make some plays. But what Sanders does for you down the seams, it's hard to replace. I think Texas would have to really tweak their offensive planning to account for his absence. With Ryan Watts, I think you can I think Muhammad's due for a breakout game. I think he's a star on the rise. I think if he starts in his hometown in the Cotton Bowl, I think he'd have a great game. So I think Sanders is the bigger piece to replace for Sark and his staff.
Said.
I'm going to go with Watts because, let's keep it real on Sanders. He's been largely overlooked this year. He and Jordan Whittington have kind of sat back and watched the others. I think Sanders had 1 big breakout game. I think Yeah, I just think that Watts being a big corner, big physical corner, doesn't get a lot of action his way. They're going to be picking on T. Brooks or Malik Muhammad. Um, they're going to be picking on them. So I think that there's more concern in that secondary than at tight end. Quinn's been throwing it down the field a lot more. Still, deep ball still hit or miss, but I just think that they have so much weaponry. I mean, Jordan Whittington doesn't even get any action hardly, and I'd love to see them throw it to Jordan Whittington, but they just haven't. There's not a lot of ball to go around. So defensively, if Watts is out, and I hate that lower body injury. That is so NHL. It just makes me wonder, man, is it his knee? Is he really hurt? When they don't zero in and tell you what exactly it is. So I have huge concerns about Watts.
I'm going to go with Ryan Watts too. I mean, if this Texas team has showed a weakness this season, is you can sometimes throw it deep and hurt this team, and that concerns me. I mean, Des Bryant has called Ryan a first round cornerback from his evaluation, what he's seen on film and on TV, and that's a compliment from a really good, great NFL receiver. 18 straight starts at the cornerback position. If Jatavian can't play, Texas will figure something out on offense, whether that's Gunnar Helm getting more looks, whether that's, you get more looks for Keelan Robinson out of the backfield, or you go one of those young receivers, a Jonte Cook or Jordan Whittington, where it's going to give you 10 catches like he had a few years ago at the Cotton Bowl. I mean, I think as great as Jatavian is, you can figure out something on offense to, figure out some more targets, but replacing a cornerback like Ryan Watts could be tough. And that's asking a guy like, Malik Muhammad or one of those young guys to do a lot, on a stage like this with Dillon Gabriel coming in, and throwing it like we know he can. So I'd be more concerned about Ryan Watts, but we'll see what happens with both those guys and whether or not they're able to make it to the Cotton Bowl this weekend. One person we know is not going to be at the Cotton Bowl this weekend is Mr. Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12. It was reported yesterday that he would not be making the trip. The SEC will be sending their commissioner, but the Big 12 will not be sending theirs for this top-ranked showdown. Kirk, we'll start with the columnist. Kirk said, should the commissioner of the Big 12 be at this game? It's the two best teams, arguably, in the Big 12. It's a top-ranked showdown, but there's a little drama behind old Brett and some of his prior comments. So what do you think? Should he be in attendance or not?
Yeah, I think he should. I really do. And I even texted Bob Bird, the PR guy, last night and asked him, and he didn't get back to me. Wait,
What?
What's the
Bob
second
Bird didn't
biggest
get back?
game? What's the second biggest game this week? Is there another game this week? Is it, yeah, I think he ought to be there. He's representing the conference, and until July 1st, they are in the Big 12 conference, and this is the primo game. And last I heard, I think game day was going to be there, and it's like I heard a rumor that both these teams are undefeated. So yeah, I think he should be there. Am I surprised he's not going to be there? No, not at all.
Said,
I know we don't have great production value on these podcasts, but I want to zero in on Brett Yormark right quick. Brett, you need to be at this game, dog. These two schools have made more money for you than any of those other schools combined. This is your last chance to cash in and be seen. Joe Castiglione and Chris Del Conte, they did the Big 12 dirty. Oh, yeah, they did. But that's over with. Be the bigger man, show up, answer a couple questions, and then go back and hang out with Jay-Z. But if you're not being there, it's not a good look for you.
Thomas, and please keep us the Zoom to a minimum with.
Yeah, no one wants to see that. Look, it's surprisingly petty on Brett Yormark's part, in my opinion. One of these two teams has a really good chance of being in the college football playoff. And the Big 12, let's be honest, may not be able to say that in the years to come. This is their best chance to be represented on the biggest stage. And the commissioner is being a bit petty not to be at the showcase game for the Big 12 this year. Very surprising for someone who is marketing genius. Let's be honest. Yormark's very good at that. But yeah, I'm surprised he won't be there.
And that was Heather Dinich with ESPN with the reporting. She said that also reported that Yormark will see both teams twice this season. We know he'll be in Austin on Black Friday for the Tech game, and he's seen the Cincinnati OU game. But my personal opinion is, if you don't want to be there, don't be there. He doesn't want to be there. Texas and OU don't want him to be there, I'm assuming. And he'll get to see both teams in December when they're at AT&T Stadium playing for the Big 12 championship and awkwardly having to hand one of them the trophy. So, I mean, I don't think it's the hugest deal if he'd rather go spend his weekend in one of these other Big 12 cities as opposed to, hanging out and getting some corny dogs and, taking the state fair, one of the college football's biggest rivalries. That's on him. It is petty. It is silly, but at the same time, I don't think any of us are stunned. And Texas fans and Oklahoma fans will just have to wait a couple weeks to boo him, because I think we all expect both teams to be in Arlington in a couple weeks, unless West Virginia keeps winning the way West Virginia's winning, or one of these other teams sneaks into that Big 12 title picture. But really quickly, before we get to the real important questions, who you got? I'm taking Texas. Not much hesitation. It won't be 49-0 again, but I got the Longhorns.
I think Texas will win. I think they'll cover the spread. That's what, 6.5 right now.
Texas by a touchdown, maybe 10. I just think they have more different ways to put the ball in the end zone than OU. OU's too quarterback dependent, and Texas's defense not going to give up as many big plays as you think they will, even though there's been a little bit of slippage lately. Texas by 10.
This is a cyclical series, always has been, and OU had won 4 straight before Texas turned the tables last year. So it won't surprise me at all if Texas goes on a little bit of a run now, and at the very least makes it 2 in a row. I got Texas 38-24.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the important stuff. The state fair. At some point, we're gonna finish
being honest.
We're gonna finish our post game stuff. We're gonna write our stories, and then we're gonna venture out to the fairgrounds to get some food before we head on back to Austin. Hopefully get out of there by like 5-6 o'clock. But so I was looking online at the new offerings, and y'all, this is gonna be bad for my waistline. Gannett gives us about $50 per DM, and I'm gonna spend it all. We got deep fried candy pecan bacon bread pudding. We got deep fried honey butter brisket swirls, deep fried oatmeal pie, deep fried Vietnamese coffee. I'll get some of that before the game. Perk myself up a little bit. A fried fireball shot, a fried Monte Cristo, fried Texas barbecue shotgun shells, cornbread sausage bombs, cotton candy Rita, which is, I guess, is a margarita and cotton candy. So what are you
keep talking dirty to me, Danny?
What are you going to eat on the fairgrounds? Are you just going to stick to the classics? Going to get yourself a corny dog, a turkey leg, or are you going to be adventurous and try one of these new offerings that they'll be offering on the fairgrounds?
I hope you're not going to have any of that before kickoff, Danny.
I can't live that life anymore. That 10 years ago, I might have tried that beforehand, but now I'll have to wait till afterwards.
One of each. Whatever you just said, one of each. I'm gonna get a corn dog. I'm sure as heck not gonna put ketchup on it because I'm not a 4-year-old. I'm put some mustard. I'm not gonna put cinnamon or whatever David Benda said yesterday. I'm gonna get a corn dog. Then I'm gonna go find that fried food. I'm gonna eat it. It's gonna fuel me back on the drive to Austin. Can't wait.
First of all, Thomas Jones, I'm a grown ass man, and I like ketchup on my corny dog. I had never liked mustard, and I'm not gonna start now in my golden years, but I'm gonna be good this year. I've dropped a little bit of weight, feeling a little
looking good. Looking good.
I'm gonna have a deep fried salad. If they are offering a deep fried salad, I'm getting a deep fried salad.
What?
And then I'm getting a couple of turkey legs to go for me and my beloved Beverly. And I'm taking that slow train to Tyler to go see my baby.
Well, I'm a traditionalist, as you all know, so it's mandatory to have that corny dog post game with mustard. Ketchup on a corny dog is basically a crime against humanity. Leave that for your scrambled eggs or whatever. So, but a corny dog with mustard and a brewski, and then hitting I-35 south. That works for me.
And don't forget, I gotta sample that Floyd's catfish.
Oh, you got to every year, right?
Every year.
Hey, there's something called a fruity pebble pickle this year. You might want one of those, Dandy, too.
Pickles are just cucumbers soaked in evil. They're and no amount of fruity pebbles or whatever is gonna mask that. So I will pass on that. But yeah, I'm gonna try one of these new fried concoctions. I need one of the ones that has barbecue in it. I gotta try those out. Probably the first one I can find is what we'll settle on. But of course, you gotta do the corny dog. I'll probably keep it simple with my beverage, just a nice overpriced beer as opposed to this Candy Rita or Fireball shot or whatever. But I will say this, and I think my wife, when she listens to this, and one of my good friends, Mary Kate, who both Texas grads, both State Fair fans, who give me grief every year for putting ketchup on my corny dog. I'm gonna douse that sucker in ketchup. It's delicious. It's good. I could care less what all you haters think. It's delicious, and I'm gonna enjoy myself. And if you want mustard, which is an okay second place prize, knock yourself out. I won't be putting it on mine, so that's more for you. But ketchup, bring it all to me, and I'm glad all y'all hate it because that just means I don't have to wait in line for the ketchup. So me and Seth are gonna be at the ketchup line, enjoying ourselves, and you heathens can have your mustard. That's fine. I guess we're gonna have to figure out how to do a poll on one of these, and we can have a ketchup versus mustard discussion in the comments.
Mustard will win, but I don't care about that. Yeah, I'm eating what tastes good.
We know what tastes good, right, TJ?
I grew up on ketchup.
Don't tell Bijan you're not
eating ketchup sandwiches growing up, so I'm not about to get away from ketchup just because a couple of haters are ripping it. So that's not going to
go on the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments or our Twitter mentions can let us know what you think. I've seen some of the discourse in our YouTube comments, and hopefully this discussion will be a little bit better than some of that nonsense going on. We have some fans out there on YouTube. Some people really don't like us, but maybe we've made some more friends.
Bring that on. Bring that YouTube hate on. You think we're gonna quit doing
we're happy for the views
confidential because some YouTubers don't like us? You might not like us, but you're watching.
Yep, they're hating us while giving us those views, so I'll take it. But even though Dallas, obviously, I think college football spotlight, a lot of eyes and attention are going to be on the Cotton Bowl and the State Fair. There's some stuff still going on campus, including on Thursday, the volleyball team, now ranked 8th in the AVCA poll. They'll be hosting Kansas on Thursday night, and Friday night, Kansas ranked 17th. So that's 2 more tests for the Longhorns after sweeping BYU this past weekend. And then soccer on the road on Thursday at number 19 UCF. Soccer's ranked 21st. And then they host Iowa State on Sunday. So 2 more tests for Texas. They try to get back in that Big 12 title race and defend their conference championship. But that's it for the campus stuff. On second thought, the podcast to listen to while you're driving to Dallas, while you're heading to Gregory Gym or Myers Stadium. That drops on Thursday morning. When that podcast drops, Kirk said, what are we going to be listening to? Who's stopping by the podcast this week?
Well, we're trying to arrange a friend of the podcast, Greg McElroy, the former Alabama quarterback. He did the Kansas game, so he got a fresh look up close and personal with the Longhorns. So we're hoping if he can arrange his schedule to have him on second thought.
We'll get him, just like we got Derek Johnson. We didn't. We got him a week
eventually.
Later. We got him a week later, but McElroy reached out to the Duck at the Kansas game, and he's been on a couple of times, and he's always got something good to say. So yeah, we'll corral him, and y'all check us out on Thursday morning on the drive on.
Preview that Alabama A&M game too. So he's got a vested interest in that.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that on Thursday morning. You can find that on statesman.com, wherever you get your podcasts. Also on statesman.com throughout the week. We'll have all of our pregame coverage for the Texas OU game on that website starting at 11 o'clock on Saturday. We'll have a live blog, and of course, all of our post game coverage will be on the website as well. So we thank you in advance for checking that out. We thank you for watching this on YouTube, or all of our friends on YouTube, on the website, or listening to us wherever you get your podcasts. But that's gonna do it for us. We got to start getting ready. I got to start working out, clear a little room for all the things I'm going to eat on Saturday, including my corny dog doused in ketchup. It's going to be delicious. I'm going to look forward to it. But once again, thanks for watching us. I'm Danny Davis, the Austin American-Statesman, for Sed, Kirk, and Thomas. We will see you all down the road. Deuces. Enjoy this weekend.